Here's me doing rotational leg exercises to move forward one square at a time. If I was to go around twice, it allows me to have a sort of wider range of motion the second time. And this is something I need to work on, my stride length, which goes hand in hand with flexibility. And I talked about this in a video recently, and a shout out to J Autumn Track and Field. He mentioned how he only uses drills with the full spin cycle of the legs now rather than high knees, which he saves just for conditioning. So it's all about trying to get as close to the sprint motion as possible. So this is the wall drill, where you try to swap legs sort of in mid-air if you can, and then you can do 2 at a time or 3 at a time. And it's conditioning you to push back against the ground at an angle. So I actually did a session on Sunday with Russell, who's a teammate of mine, training partner, and we timed each other over 200 meters. He did 24.9 and I did 25.6. So that's really not too bad, considering I haven't even run as far as 200 meters recently, getting back into it after the second hamstring strain. And Russell's been running pretty much 12 dead this year. I'm quite jealous because he got back into it, did loads of events, 100-meter events, and really close to 12 seconds wind legal, under 12 seconds with the wind. So we also did some 40-meter uphills, and essentially I was 3% off his times. So that's a really good sign for the 100 meters. That would mean I'd be at maybe 12.3, 12.4. So it's looking good for me getting back into it. So I'm doing upper body exercises here as well as lower body. Upper body is important because the arms have got to balance out the legs. You've got to get that power going. And maybe because I've been careful with a hamstring, my legs aren't as powerful as they could be. Maybe in this video, I don't know, my upper body looks better compared to my lower body, but then again it might be the camera angle, it's kind of looking down. But anyway, so these sorts of push-ups, you're getting your upper arm to come effectively behind the upper body, so it's like with sprinting, your arm comes back and you drive forwards, and then you do the opposite motion, which is even more important, where you pull back with the arms to allow the legs to come forwards. So I do feel that flexibility is a limiting factor for me personally, especially with the hamstring issue, because I'm getting the power back in my legs, but then I find that it's like my legs come down too soon because they're not flexible enough to come forward and do a greater range of motion. So if I can just develop that flexibility, including with these spin cycle exercises, I reckon that will really help me make the most of my power, and then the stride length should come with that. So thanks for the comments as ever on the sprinting. For example, Luke commented just in the last day or so. He's another Masters athlete who was an 11-second runner, like my teammate Russell actually, and he's very recently got back into sprinting. It was kind of 13.7 when he first got back into it. Now after a year, down to 12.5, 8 seconds for 60 meters. So I think he found it harder than he expected, as a lot of people do, but that's great that he's already close to my times. Obviously I didn't do it when I was younger, but I've been training as a Masters athlete for quite a long time. Now I'm not commenting much on what I'm actually doing in this video, am I? But here I am kind of trying to open out my leg again, just getting away from just high knees and sort of drills with more of a full range of motion. So I would like to make more videos at the track soon, but the thing is, until I'm in sort of close to 100% form, I'm not sure it's much use to most people, because I won't be demonstrating technique that's that great. So you know, all in good time. The other thing is, you know, it's good to do videos with other people, with teammates, with the group, or competing, but again, it's more complicated to do videos with other people. This exercise I'm doing now, I do like to run on the spot, but now kind of with straight legs and pushing down into the ground with sort of stiff legs, again sort of mimicking the sprinting action, short ground contact time. If you do the double hop, the second one is kind of at more of an angle, again like you'd be pushing back with sprinting. Someone asked about flying 30s recently. They are a great exercise, a great drill. I know Jeremy Davis, who's a very fast masters athlete, who comments on my videos. He does a lot of flying 30s. I think he does short but intense reps, which is something I'd like to do more of. He does kind of 3 lots of 30 all out and not too much more, hardly ever runs a full 100 meters. And I know increasingly that's how I need to train. The sort of longer sessions are kind of wearing me down. You know, we do like 100s, 150s over and over, and I'm sort of trying to be more strict at my club now to know what's best for me. Like if we're doing 6 lots of 150 meters or something, to say, well, I'm only going to do 3, and even only one of them is going to be as far as 150 meters. So that's what happens over time as an athlete. You work out what's best for you, and you have to be strong in making sure you're not led by other people into doing things that might be too much for you or give you injury. People train and recover in different ways. Someone complimented me on my technical analysis video recently, like the one with the hops and the plyo, and I was proud of that. I took a lot of time to make that video, explaining some of the dynamics, the mechanics of the sprinting action, using arrows and so on. But although I was kind of proud of it, at the same time, I'm not so sure now, because well, I just, if I made that video again, I'd make it differently. But my point is, plyometrics, I think you have to be really careful with it, because I think the idea is to overload, because that's how you develop your muscles, by overloading them. But you only want to overload them slightly to achieve the effect, because if you overload them too much, you might risk injury. So that's why I'd want to be really careful with plyo. Also, the specificity. So, like I've already been emphasising, you want to your drills and exercises to be very similar to sprinting. But plyometrics, you put so much load on an individual leg with some of the hops. Maybe that's just overkill, like it's too much compared to what you'd actually do while sprinting. So, like I said, I'd make that sort of video differently now, but I appreciated the compliment, and I would like to get more technical and scientific with my sprinting videos if I can. It doesn't take too much time, because I'm not the expert, so I need to be careful with that. But at the same time, with a well-researched video, I do feel confident that it's worth sharing with people. Anyway, sorry to go on about that. Here I am in the video. What am I doing? I'm working on the hamstrings, upper hamstrings, and the glutes. Well, I did upper and lower. Let's see what I'm doing here. Oh, this is more of the standard one. So this is more kind of lower hamstrings. It's like the curl. So yeah, as I ease slowly back, that's the eccentric motion, which is particularly important to the sprinting action. So yeah, as you kind of extend your legs, if you're doing the full spin cycle of your leg, your lower leg sort of gets thrown out in front of you, and then you need to slow it down to pull it back. That's what this eccentric motion is mimicking. But now this is more the upper hamstring and the glutes, because notice my leg is staying straighter. And for me, I think this is particularly important. I really need to build the upper hamstrings and the glutes more. Until I've done that, I think it's risky to work too much on the lower hamstring and the curls, because the concentric motion isn't something you do in sprinting, and all this could kind of cause injury. So now I'm stretching out the glutes. What else was I going to say? I've been back in training with my group for a couple of weeks now, maybe a few weeks, and it's fantastic. If you're interested in sprinting but you're doing it on your own, you really should join a group, because it makes all the difference with motivation, making new friends, meeting different people, different ages. you know, having a coach to motivate you, it's all fantastic. And in these weird times we've had recently, once the sprint group got back effectively to normal, it's just makes such a difference to life to have that, you know, to be in a sociable environment with lots of people outdoors, you know, doing something pretty epic, you know, which is sprint training. Sprint training is an epic thing to do. You're going, you know, you're with a group of like-minded people, training really hard, like pushing yourself to your max. So these are rather random exercises I'm doing here. It's just kind of, I try to do some exercises on the mats to lower the impact. But in terms of low impact, I've actually been doing loads of cycling the last few days, like bike rides. Really good to do some cross training and again build up the legs, cardio, and just in this amazing weather to just power through the English countryside up and down the hills. It's been awesome, you know, in shorts and t-shirt or even no t-shirt, you know, to get the vitamin D while I can. Kind of a subject for another video, but this is kind of the last time of the year that you can really get decent vitamin D from the sun in England. So yeah, vitamin D, it's like there's some good evidence of the benefits of vitamin D. There's even been 1 or 2 studies recently which are starting to show pretty good evidence that it's beneficial in relation to COVID, like at least if you're admitted to hospital to avoid the worst symptoms and having to go into intensive care. I mean, I don't want to say that as if it's, you know, proven, but there's a very good study recently which I can link to. Sometimes the media will say there's no evidence in relation to vitamin D. It's that it's not proven, but it doesn't mean there's a negative that's been proven. There's definitely not. There's haven't been many studies. So I think just doing the bicep curls there, this is what you do in sprinting. Your arms come back, and then to bring it forwards again, you effectively curl your arm. And the more, if you develop your arm, if you make your arm bigger, it's going to counterbalance your leg better. You can again improve your stride. Final video now. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, just see what I'm doing here in the video. I'm just practicing some starts, kind of. I can't really accelerate in such a small space, but I'm actually looking at the slabs, paving slabs, to see how far I can effectively jump out of the blocks. So that's quite useful. So where was I? So yeah, obviously without my t-shirt I can get some vitamin D. Obviously be careful not getting burnt in the sun, guys, with risk of skin cancer, but it's like balancing your own risk. But also I guess I can show off that I'm pretty well defined. Might as well kind of show that off. I think I'm just kind of lucky, but you know, given that I've got low body fat, there's no real excuse for not going faster in sprinting. You know, losing that, not having that weight in fat should really help. So I should be going faster than I am, but being defined can sort of flatter how you look, but it doesn't mean that I'm actually that powerful or strong. I kind of need to build up my legs, especially to have proper power for sprinting. I'd kind of trade that for looking defined, to be honest. So you know, maybe I should make a video about abs. You know, everyone wants a six-pack, but I don't really do many exercises with the abs. It's just, you know, if you do a lot of intensive exercise, you can, if you're lucky like me, you can end up with low body fat, and then you have more defined abs. But I mean, you know, I do exercises which build the abs. I just don't do lots and lots of them. So I think I'm nearly at the end of the video now. I'm doing other videos at the moment. I've done some videos on COVID, just because it's something I've followed a lot, and I feel like it's my duty, if I've got information that could be useful to people, to share it, to make sure that full debate is being had, different points of view. This is a funny one. This is something I do in the garden sometimes, or just around the house, like walking with very bent legs. It's all adds up, you know, to developing different leg muscles. So there's COVID videos. I might do one on Sweden soon to try and do a fair comparison with Sweden, their different approach. And then martial arts, another big interest of mine. I'm making this series of videos, and martial arts really lends itself to stories in a way that sprinting doesn't necessarily. So that's one reason I'm making the videos on martial arts. With sprinting, it's actually quite difficult to find a way to make good videos on sprinting. Like, you got to be good technically, your personal story's got to be interesting, or you just got to be kind of funny about it or whatever. But it's kind of the reason I don't make too many videos about sprinting. I'm not so qualified, and I don't want to bore people. Like, is my story really that interesting? You know, I'm working on it anyway, how to go about the videos. But also, once you become a YouTuber, you feel like you should keep making videos, but if you've got nothing to say, actually, maybe you shouldn't. So last few exercises now, what am I doing? I'm doing like a deep squat all the way down to the ground and then coming up. So one thing I haven't done much of recently is vertical jump. Somebody commented on my video recently with that, giving some good tips and talking about how it correlates with sprinting. I think that's actually up for debate, how much you improve your sprinting just because you improve your vertical jump, or vice versa, or how much they correlate. I mean, there must be some correlation, but the thing with vertical jump is, I guess, it's a longer ground contact, not so much the leg stiffness, like you know, straight leg power. But and when I work on my vertical jump, I feel like I'm risking injury, like I feel like I'm straining myself. So that's something sort of to do when I'm in really good shape and everything else is fine. I don't want to push it with that. So this is the exercise I normally do the stretch I normally do on the ground for the glutes, but I'm sort of doing it. And oh, this is the end. Right, catch you later then.